Hi everyone, this is Tom and welcome to episode 33 of If This Car Could Talk. As you'll remember, last Sunday we featured Jim Wade's well-designed, home-built, and really cool 1967 Dodge Dart 270 hardtop. The Dart name was first used by Dodge in 1960. The first generation cars, seen in 1960 and 61, are actually B-body based. For 1962, engineers redesigned the chassis and dubbed it an A-body, and it would be a standalone second-generation example. The Dart would remain an A-body until its demise after the 1976 model year. The third-generation Darts were built from 1963 to 66, and the fourth from 1967 all the way through 1976. The Dart name was recently resurrected, but for the purpose of this story, we'll concentrate on the first series from 1960 through 1976, which are arguably some of the most successful cars produced by the Chrysler Corporation. This was due, in no small part, to their quality build and reliability for an inexpensive, mass-produced car. Our feature car from last Sunday is among the first year of the fourth generation models. Compared to just 1 year earlier, the new 67s were boldly styled and looked very modern at the time. They were so well received that Dodge continued to produce them with only minor changes year to year for the next decade. The 1967 Dart was completely reskinned from its immediate predecessor. Additionally, more strengthening members were used throughout the unibody structure, including reinforced steel bows for the hardtop roof, making it more rigid. A 2-inch increase in track allowed for wider tires, and the body was lowered, giving the Dart a sportier stance. The station wagon was not carried over from 1966. As an extended version of its A-body cousin, the Plymouth Valiant, the Dart rode on a lengthened wheelbase, the largest of any compact car in the industry at that time. At 111 inches, it allowed for better legroom and trunk space than most of its competitors. Body styles included 4-door sedans, 2-door hardtops, and the convertible GT model, which was now equipped with a new glass rear window to replace the troublesome clear plastic version used in the past. In 1967, these newly designed Darts were available in 3 series: the Dart 270, which is what the feature car is, and the Dart GT. The 270 featured full carpeting, a deluxe 2-spoke steering wheel with a full horn ring, and an all-vinyl interior. Depending on the model and options ordered, these cars weighed between 2,725 pounds and 2,910 pounds, making them ideal for modifications for better performance and handling. I looked for specific production numbers, but all I could find were approximations for some reason. Anyway, here they are. Jim's car is built in the style of a vintage superstock Dart, which was originally powered by either the big block 440 or the legendary 426 Hemi. Built by Hearst Performance, yes, the shifter people, about 80 were constructed. Most people think that only the Hemi lurked under that menacing hood. Also in 1968, Chrysler commissioned approximately 50 fastback Plymouth Barracudas equipped with the 426 cubic inch Hemi, specifically for use in superstock drag racing within the rules of the National Hot Rod Association, or NHRA sanctioning body. These cars featured items such as lightweight side glass, fiberglass front fenders, a huge hood scoop, lightweight front bucket seats with the rear seat deleted, no sound deadening or carpeting used, no window operating mechanisms, a full roll cage, and no radio or heater assembly. Other deletions to lighten these purpose-built drag cars were also employed. An included decal indicated that these all-out performance cars were not for use on public roads. They would routinely run the quarter mile in the mid-10s in 1968, and some cars, utilizing continually new technology in tires and other things, were even faster as the years went by, allowing them to remain competitive. Many of these cars were raced for years by their owners. They simply dominated this class and are now among the most coveted and valuable examples from the muscle car era. The history of how these cars came to be goes back to 1963, when NHRA, in cooperation with other racing governing national and international organizations, began limiting the maximum engine size to 427 cubic inches, or 7 liters. And in 1964 started using its own horsepower factors, mainly to correct notoriously low ratings from the manufacturers. By 1965, some of these factory and contractor-built FX vehicles, or factory experimental, like the long-established gasser and altered classes, featured altered wheelbases, fuel injection, and forced air induction, configurations that could never be justified as stock or even super stock. In 1966, NHRA put these increasingly radical FX cars, where some were now fueled with nitromethane, into their own classes, officially called experimental stock. But colloquially, they had been called funny cars for some time, reflecting a commonly overheard comment, "That car sure looks funny." The following year, NHRA formally established the funny car as a separate eliminator class. Drag racing was changing, especially with factory involvement, and the NHRA was trying to keep up to make sure the racing was fair, and also built enthusiasm from fans who flocked to their many sanctioned drag strips throughout the country. The U.S. Oxford English Dictionary defines superstock thusly: an extensively modified car, motorcycle, or other motorized vehicle, specifically in later use, a stock car in a racing class subject to fewer restrictions regarding modification than normal stock cars, the class to which such vehicles belong. Superstock vehicles may look like ordinary passenger vehicles, but they are definitely highly modified race cars. This category features primarily late model sedans and vintage muscle cars, and entries are classified using a system that divides factory shipping weight by NHRA factored horsepower. Significant engine modifications are permitted, but the vehicle must retain a make-specific and correct engine block, cylinder heads, and carburetor. Cars are handicapped using an index system, and the breakout rule is enforced. Although racers like Dick Landy and Don Garlitz had modified darts in the mid-1960s to run in the NHRA funny car classes using the 426 Hemi, superstock class racing of the Dart was almost non-existent due to the small V8s available from the factory. That would change when Dodge contracted Hearst Performance to build a limited number of Darts powered by the 440 cubic inch big block and later the Hemi engine to compete in the SSB class as the Hearst Hemi Dart. According to Chrysler staff engineer Larry Shepard, the majority of these Hearst-modified superstock Darts were Hemi-powered. In 1967, NHRA redefined superstock as a division within stock eliminator, adding 10 classes based on horsepower to weight factors. In addition, on-track competition was conducted with handicapped starts based on national elapsed time records. This was a much fairer way to pit the manufacturers, who seemed to have unlimited funds to develop and build these cars, with smaller teams of independent racers against each other. This new system was a major change, greatly increasing the number of vehicles eligible for superstock, in part by now allowing stock-only combinations the additional power potential of aftermarket intake manifolds and any camshaft and valve train components, plus the increased traction efficiency of any size rear tire and wheel assembly which would fit into the stock wheel well. Also included were big block powered pony cars, such as the Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro, and eventually the Plymouth Barracuda, Dodge Dart, and Challenger models, plus even the AMX from American Motors. Another class which may resemble super stock is known as stock. Stock cars are similar to super stockers, but the rules regarding everything from engine modifications to body alterations are much stricter. Virtually any car is eligible to compete, and entries are classified using a system that divides factory shipping weight by NHRA factored horsepower. Bodies must be unaltered and retain a full factory interior. Tires are limited to a maximum 9-inch wide rear slick. Engines must be correct for the make and model vehicle and must retain stock cylinder heads, intake manifold, and carburetor. Modifications are limited to a basic balancing and only a few performance enhancements. The pivotal role played by NHRA and NASCAR are some of the main reasons the muscle car era is so special. Each had their specific regulations, as did the smaller domestic and international organizations. Manufacturers needed to adapt to compete in various motorsport events, mainly to sell more cars. The old adage, race on Sunday, sell on Monday, was definitely true. A new industry emerged to satisfy the demand for performance automobiles. Among some of the industries that evolved were subcontractors who could build factory-engineered, highly modified cars on a limited basis, factory and aftermarket speed equipment, and performance-oriented new car dealerships. In addition, little to no government regulations, cheap, high-octane fuel, low insurance rates, and a plethora of auto-related magazines all added to the performance car popularity. However, the most important factor of all, a nearly limitless pool of buyers that demanded that manufacturers continue to build bigger and badder cars. Even common offerings benefited from the car companies being involved in racing, as parts were being developed that could also be utilized on more generic muscle cars or just standard transportation models, and not just the exotic and limited edition examples. The passion for high performance and special interest cars is stronger than ever. Well-engineered, performance-enhancing parts are just a mouse click away from coming right to your door from a variety of different vendors for almost any car imaginable. The internet is chock full of forums for any interest where an enthusiast can get information and parts advice from seasoned veterans. Car shows, big and small, abound, and custom hot rod shops seem to be everywhere, all adding to the popularity and accessibility of performance-oriented cars and trucks. It's a lot of fun and a great hobby for both anyone and everyone. What's your favorite low production muscle car and why? Send us your comments. We'd love to know what you think. Next Sunday, we have a car from a totally different era, but it is still very intriguing to say the least. Starting with the Batmobile in the mid-60s, cars could be seen as actual characters in movies and on television. One such car is KITT, seen in the early 80s as a highly evolved and technologically superior driving creation unlike anything else on the road at the time. This one's a very accurate replica and has a very enthusiastic owner who religiously watched Knight Rider every week and fell in love with one of the main characters. Check it out this Sunday. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, why not do it now? It's free and you'll never miss any of the episodes, which are posted each Sunday and Thursday. We strive to pick interesting cars, but they must have a uniquely human story that goes with them. Until then, stay safe out there.